Legitimacy is not the result of how they feel about it. You know, you can't win them all, and elections have consequences.
Elections do have consequences, Mitch. And now is the time to show Mitch McConnell and his Republican lemmings how true that is. Because in his haste to jam Amy Coney Barrett onto the Supreme Court in the final weeks before the vote counting begins, McConnell has shown the American people where his priorities lie. And it is not with you or your families. You see, since May, McConnell has been sitting on a relief bill that would bring vital assistance to the millions of Americans who are out of jobs, losing their homes, or sick from this deadly pandemic. It was called the HEROES Act. But he has barely lifted a finger to see that you and your families are being protected. And now that Ms. Coney Barrett has been confirmed, you'd think that maybe he'd, get around to helping you out. Nope. McConnell has adjourned the Senate until after the election. Of course, none of this would have been allowed to happen without the approval of his fellow Senate Republicans. Remember, 20 of them, 20, including McConnell himself, are on their state's ballot right now, and they will have to answer for their actions. Elections, indeed, should have consequences. Joining me now, Jon Favreau, former head speechwriter for President Obama and co-host of Pod Save America, and Juanita Tolliver, national political director for Supermajority. Thank you both for being here. Let's talk about consequences, because, I believe payback is a voter. That is, I put it on my Twitter feed because that is how I believe in life, that you don't get mad, you get even. Let's start with you, Jon Favreau. Let's put up the list again. Here are the people who are up for re-election right now. Talk to me about which of these people stand to potentially face the retribution of voters the most in a week.
I think Cory Gardner in Colorado, Martha McSally in Arizona, Tom Tillis in North Carolina, Kelly Loeffler in Georgia, David Perdue in Georgia, Joni Ernst in Iowa, Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. I mean, the list is long right now.
Yeah.
People who are up for re-election, Republicans who are up for re-election and may lose their seats.
You recently got a chance, you guys are so lucky you got a chance to talk to President Obama. You might have a slight advantage in being able to talk to him. I mean, is this his attitude, too? Because we know there was the whole when they go low, we go high. But that was Michelle. That really wasn't Barack Obama. Does he believe this way that really what voters ought to do is remove Republicans from power in order to, even if they just neuter Mitch McConnell if he stays in office?
Yeah, I asked him that question. And, one of the things he said is if this version of the Republican Party is going to keep blocking any progress whatsoever on any issue, if they're going to treat the courts as a place where you just stack, right-wing ideologues to promote right-wing policies, just in case there's an outbreak of democracy in the other two branches of government, if they're going to do this, then not only do we have to show up and vote in large Democratic majorities, but we also have to do things like remove the filibuster to make sure that we can actually, pass things through the Senate and not have Mitch McConnell block every single Democratic priority or any priority.
Yeah. Juanita, let's talk about the how, because you are with an organization, Supermajority, that's trying to move some of those folks onto unemployment so that maybe Mitch McConnell will be motivated to help them once they're unemployed. One of my favorite columnists of all time, Ron Brownstein, who I covet desperately, he's with another network, unfortunately, he wrote something in The Atlantic, and he wrote this: as the nation's growing racial and religious diversity limits the GOP's prospects, filling the courts with conservatives constitutes what Princeton historian Sean Wilentz calls the right-wing firewall against a country evolving electorally away from them. And that's why they didn't care about the consequences politically short-term, even though Mitch McConnell claims it would be great for them, of ramming this through, and they don't care whether they pass a bill to help people, right? I mean, they just want to try to control the courts because they can't control the votes or the culture. So what do you do about that on the ground, and how do you convince people that they can stop that through voting?
Look, I think voters, first and foremost, are constantly reminded that we have the power to choose who our leader of this country is, and also choose who represents us in Congress. And so what I'm going to be really conveying to voters is, remember, carry this as yet another failure from Trump, McConnell, and Republicans to meet you and meet your needs in present day. Carry this as another failure if you are Black, a person of color, a person living with pre-existing conditions or disabilities, as an attack on your civil rights. carry this with you to the polls and stay motivated to bring 3 other people with you to the polls, because this is a turnout game where your vote will ultimately decide the civil rights situation and democracy that our nation has. And so I think one of the other things is that I don't understand how the GOP sees this as a political asset. It's most certainly not for the women who have left the workforce at the hundreds of thousands. It's certainly not for Black and brown communities who have been disproportionately impacted by COVID-19 and unemployed at disproportionately high rates either. And so I'm like, a political asset for whom exactly? Because the voters are going to carry this to the polls with them, knowing that you have done nothing to help them, but you did everything to forward your agenda, whether it's on the Supreme Court seat or making sure corporations had what they needed in this pandemic.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.